Thanks for coming tonight on this cold night. I'm Susan James, Library Manager here at Bayliss and Assistant Director of the District Library. I have some thank yous and some events to mention. Thank you, of course, to Matthew Williams for being our featured poet tonight, and to Diane Meyer for helping with the arrangements. Thank you to the Friends of the Library for the refreshments, and the library's program committee for help with planning. Matthew Williams was born and raised in Sault Ste. Marie. He started writing music and poetry 6 years ago when he first took lessons on the guitar. Last year, he performed on guitar with Detroit poet and musician M.L. Liebler at a concert here, and there's a chance he'll be coming back this summer. If you haven't seen him, he's great. He's planning to have a Beatles 50th anniversary performance, so that's in the planning stages. We hope to host that sometime this summer. Matthew's been a frequent participant in our open mics and poetry and songwriting workshops. Currently, he is a student at Bay Mills Community College in the Native American Studies program. He performs music locally, sometimes with friends. I've seen him at Super Company. After his reading, we'll take a short break before the open mic. And there's a sign-up sheet if you want to participate. So please welcome Matthew Williams.
Everybody coming out here tonight. Have a good time.
Okay.
So sorry, I have a lot of anxiety. But thanks again. So I'll try to do everything off the mic. And thanks. So the first song I'm gonna play is this is the first song that I wrote. I wanted to play that here because I have a presentation. But I wish I had just the poem so I could read the lyrics. I was kind of contending between just reading it and singing it, but yeah, I can mention something about the lyrics afterwards. But anyway, this is the song. This one's called Starship Nowhere. Like I have a lot of influences from David Bowie on naming this one song, but anyway, I'm really big fan. Try to say that this one. This is the way to be, like a tornado tearing up the USA. You got to keep on moving, honey, or you'll fall apart like sin on a sunny day. Thank Mammon you got Monday through Saturday to live a life like a ship in a bottle. I'm here for you, keeping you stranded too. Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to be happy? And you see like the injection of a frightful. Feed yourself on everything hateful. Political partisan children on the horizon, wanting a better future for the children, and so on 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 and so on. Oh, here for you, keeping you stranded too. Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to be happy? Oh, here for you, making you blinded too. Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to be happy? Don't you want to be happy? Okay.
I never felt very comfortable with the song ever since I wrote it, but I devised a different way to sing it just before the show, and I sang it the old way that I used to do it. And, I'm just really sad that none of you got to hear it, so I'm sorry. But I just want to do a song first, and then I'll read some of my poems and talk a little bit about them. So I had like the poems that I write. I broke them up into different categories, different kinds that I do write. And these are something I keep in mind each time I do sit down and write a poem. Is what kind of category is this going to go into? And I broke it down into about 5 different categories, and that was some I write for sound, and others for language. Some I write as story poems, other ones I write with the intention of becoming songs so that they have a melody in them. And then others I write because I was upset or sad, or maybe feeling a little bit happy, but those are basically the 5 categories that I write in. And first ones I was going to read from was the sound category, and this is something that I discovered from listening to Yes. Like mostly, like, all my poetry is more or less lyrical. From I listen to a lot of musicians. I don't read much poetry, but I do like lyrics. Make sure I keep those stocked in my head. And from Yes, they have a lot of really like just strange setups of words. I don't know if you ever heard of the band Yes, but they just the guy. His name is Chris Anderson, and he writes the lyrics that he writes are very like strange things I've never seen before. Just strange combinations of words that almost seem like they make just new whole one-word phrases, new words. Just the way they kind of slide together, just very different from anything I've ever heard. I heard too much, but yes. Anyway, this is kind of like where I got this idea for these type of poems, and I like to write these the most, just because you can sit down, or I sit down and just write them. They don't really have any meaning at first or something. Just kind of like attempts at making the words kind of move themselves. So this is one of those. And for a time I would go and sit around swing sets in random places, because I used to like to swing a lot when I was a kid, and I find that it's very a peaceful thing to me, especially around here with the swing sets being next to the rivers and stuff. It's just nice to listen to the water and feel relaxed. But I've gotten a lot bigger, and some of the swings are really small. Trying not to sit in those, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices like that. Anyway, this one I wrote while I was in Marquette, spending some time with family. We were all here tonight. Thanks for coming. No, but while I was out there, I hadn't written poetry in a while, and so I got on this kind of it was just interesting being in a new, different place, and so I felt like I needed to write about it, especially because I spent a long time riding up and down the place trying to find the perfect spot to sit, and then all of a sudden I found 2 spots with swing sets next to the lake, and it took me a while, but I finally figured out which one I wanted to sit more, and from there I was free to explore my imagination. on the swing set next to the river. But this is one that I wrote purely for the sake of sound. I called the title of it's Moth Light Dance, and this is what I wrote. So, share on and far on we, and grab a lock from near old weaves of light. Here we have a gift for curing pain of all those you've ever gave a name or not. Now moving only closer to always round by now and full of heart and sound out through with open stars. A memory still our sight is beating, is feeling again, 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 again an eve of joy, an eve of love. Share on we so close an eve of love, share on we here and now an eve of love and eve of love. So that's kind of a first poem in that category, but yeah, the way the poem makes me feel, and I hope that it helps anyway, is it sounds like the place. So that's the first one. This one is not so much about the place, but just a feeling I had, and again, just kind of the speed of it, the sound of the poem. Hope it kind of displays that. So this one's called Meeting a Robin, and I saw a robin on a tree and it made me feel like I was being accused of something. And this is how this one goes. I met a robin. She told me, you're losing your heart. I could only turn, hold my chest, skip a beat and forget. We say the sky's too heavy for our season this year. And yeah, that was it. So just small things again. This next one is called Modest Talk, and this is one of the first things that I wrote, kind of with these intentions, and I was glad that I found it and kept it. I'm kind of in the habit of throwing away all my notes and throwing away everything that I own. So this one, I'm glad it stuck around. So this one, yeah, Modest Talk is this one. I like to measure bending with ripping and success with pain, though I never stick to that. So instead I measure success with lack of it. Makes a hell of a lot more sense if you ask me. Besides, that's how you can tell a bad stem from one you'd throw away next week, God bless his soul. Glad you enjoyed it, yeah. This is another one. The same. There's a couple poems that I wrote for a friend of mine because she was feeling pretty blue, and so I just kind of write these things almost as a whisper, like a confidence or something. So this is one of those. It's called Nearby. It's gentle speaking wings, thunder low, and flash colors of promise. Cooing crisp, frost-lined sea winds, scented by elder-drenched fields, calling down and off, silver-faced, antiquated mists by whispers and whispering. And, there's even a weird whisper in there. So, yeah, and these are most of the ones, it's on, I actually have another one here. Yeah, right in my face. So this one is called River Wishing. I like to walk around town here. It's pretty fun, and it's pretty cool when there's a big old river right next to the downtown area. And this is kind of something I always like to look at the factory over there at night. It just looks pretty imposing. So So, but this is another one I just tried to kind of capture, explain some of the things that I had seen or felt at night here. And this one's called River Wishing. She walks the irons, stealing iron amber nights, while shackled fires blindly roar. Kill the stranger, free our savior, feed her feathers to our ashen empty maw. We must have morning. But morning never came. She walks the irons, untouched and dancing still in the sound of drowning mires. No fear, part of limb-like casters casting acting shadows on the leaving bank, all inviting eyes to laugh. She walks the irons, facing choices kept for fish and humble stories, swimming down the river. Yeah, that was River Wishing. But definitely fun to take walks. It's a good time. One of the actually I just lumped all the sound and language things together. Oh, anyway, here's this is stories. Some of the story poems I wrote that I'm sad because I'm not much of a story writer, but I always wish that I could and I should practice and get a little bit better at it. But for now, I can't seem to write in the form of short stories. It's just hard for me to think. I don't know. But anyway, this one's called Beechwood Waltz, and I'll just read this one. This one goes, city of tourists, of beachgoers, that white wooden town. I wish I lived there, at the top, under a buzzing blue sky, cliffs and roots at my feet. I could wave to the sea monsters beside and below my sandcastle walls near Whitewood as they eat on blood-bleached beach. They would turn and see and wave and smile, awash with the joy and taste that comes of a good life, singing, ah yes, the sweet sounds of industry and happy living. So that was a poem about sea monsters eating tourists.
Sea monsters.
Yeah, I imagine that they look like Barney. Giant Barneys walking around.
Sneak up on a tourist.
Coming out of the ocean. Whatever. Yeah. Hungry dogs. And this is another one that I wrote kind of with a story mindset. I just wish I could write a story, but this is a good replacement, I guess. This one's called Manic to Manic, and it's something. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, you know me, feeling good. Too far reaching into his yawning pocket, sifting for a familiar feeling, a sandy, dirt-faced something. Still and still beating, arms begin to rise, a drifting smile this hard. And a dirty scroll pressed in two eager, sallow hands, both sweating eyes to be read aloud. The cold, unbearable fruit, for no one but you. Greater than a virgin day of harsh whiskey dryly drunk on the floor of a dead pine wood. Black by night, orange by dawn, old gray noon. It's rusted without a taste. You can't eat it, but you won't stop trying, my precious, my love. Now they know me, then they'd know you too, if you come by more often. That was We have a small one. This one I very much like. This is also a story. This is a short story one. I think I could split up the story into two different categories. One would be story and one would be short story. This would be short story. And it goes, it's called Marble Tabletop. And this is the poem. I carry one from home. Sure, it's heavy and hard to carry, but it makes me feel loved each time I stop to rest and have a meal. And that was that one. Short, a short story. What I mentioned about that one too is just that I had a grandmother who passed away about like 4 or 5 years ago. Anyway, 5? Okay, 5 years ago. And she just had she had this marble table top that she had on table legs, and it was pretty awesome. So that's what helped me write that poem. This is another one of the intended to be a song variety. For some reason I don't forget the melody of a poem when I write it with the melody in mind. That's good news. So this one's called "State of a Broken Boy." I wrote this after I had not so much of a fun time, and then just kind of fell out of me. Like yeah. So this is this one. Gotta build a bridge to get across the newly found ditch of doom from the holy ground. Just don't fall off. Take what you want from me, anything. Just don't take me from me. I've got better and you've gone bitter. It's time for your medicine. You're misshapen, I must be mistaken. I could only see you from that mirror. That one you or were not supposed to talk about. Ooh. Dear, don't chase me away. Ooh. You've gone bitter. It's time for your medicine. I hope you're all enriched now after that one. Let the melody soothe you. Anyway, this is another poem that I wrote for my friend. She was sad. So anybody who's sad here, I hope that this is not disheartening. So this one's called "For Someone in Particular." Resting on your dock, bold beneath behind rain, so nostalgic. Drifting to your dreams, you know closed eyes keep the sun the same. But you don't say, just breathe the warm, remember, won't you? Yep. So, this here's one. This is in the mood status. So I didn't. It's pretty upset after some terrible things that remain unmentioned. Actually, no, I'll skip that one. Okay. So there's a kid here, right there. Okay, 2 of them. Okay, good. Now I'm not gonna read this one. Anyway, this one is something I. Oh wait. No, I'll read this one. Okay. So this one is a mood one, right? Yeah. Oh, it's called Angst. Is that a mood? I don't know. I had it. What? I think so. Okay. Yeah, I had a high school teacher, creative writing class, and he told us that we needed to get out our teenage angst. And so I kind of remembered that, and I didn't know what he was talking about. I don't know, I just kind of rewrote this and I was like, man, I've got angst. So this is this one. It goes, on a hill of shattered youth, I climbed it by myself. I dug a hole in the earth there to hide away as its meadows melted. All hail the wandering eye and the whistling fool. They'll show us just where our circus ends. They will look out into this passing view of this desert, you see, full of nuclear-powered cacti men, charging up crescendos as the women start to sing. Fire. But it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We haven't got us yet. But turn to our soap operas and listen to that energy, that chiming of a microwaves as the flattened land breaks into waves. If you know the feeling. So I have one more poem I wanted to read. Before I start doing some songs. So that I will. This one I wrote, I think, yesterday. I was trying to. I've been trying to get stuff organized as well as I could, but I've also been trying to write new songs while I was coming here from some of the poems I had, the sing-song variety I was talking about. And, I had just nearly finished 3 in the past week, and so I really wanted to do them, but I just couldn't get everything perfect, so I was kind of jittering and not having fun. But this is what I just started writing this while I was sitting there. I was just thinking about like, man, this is hard. This is really hard. And so this is this one. Well, I'll tell you that most of the time it's not that simple. And if you'd indulge me for a moment, I believe you will find that when you try to do something that is very difficult, things tend to get rather hard. Now, I'll take for example a myriad of just advanced trials out there. Now it's a virtual crucible of inclined and passable rivers that you're stuck facing down, being told you need to be the best or the greatest or the most troubling impossible questions. Now think about it this way. You're climbing up a mountain, and it's exhausting to the point of impossibility. I mean, we're talking fish out of water here. We're not often all the stars and the heavens themselves above could help you get your way out of that cave. You need a universal, and we're talking big planets and whatnot, remote control without the instructions booklet, just to get you to forget about succeeding in the first place. And I mean, look. Last place is where you end up. That's for sure. I mean, this is common again, but now you see the beginning of my point, and that's being you're behind, and you always will be. So that's it helped me. It made me feel better. Anyway, so I was gonna do my poems, and then I was gonna do some songs. Then I started with that one. But I have some time. Okay. And the second song. The second song that I'm doing here is the second song I wrote. The first song I wrote on a ukulele, and I have a sordid history with ukuleles. I think I'm not sure. I don't know. I've been in the habit of taking other people's ukuleles for a long time, and then learning how to play it, and then giving it back, and then. But then I finally bought this one, and this one was nice. But it was a complete, not the same as the other ones that I was taking from people, which were the soprano ukuleles, and this one here's the baritone one with it's more like just a guitar, which I've always had. So it's kind of ironic that I put my friends in the position of me having their instrument and then turning up and learning it, and then not even keeping in the same vein of instrument. I guess. But anyway, this is one that I wrote on a friend of mine's ukulele, and this one's called Dafter. And I grew up in Dafter until I was about 5, and then moved into the Sault. But this here is what I call that, because originally I called it jaundice, which is something I had when I was a newborn, and you know, your skin's all yellow. But for some reason it felt kind of sickly as a title. I don't know why. But so afterwards I just kind of thought of something that was similar in the vein of, oh, I was a kid, oh, I lived in Dafter. Oh, what was yellow? Oh, me. Oh, what's yellow in Dafter? The field. And so it had the name kind of felt the same, except for not as hospitalized. So here's this song.
Days of eagle, storms and cranes came tumbling down from heaven when the clouds tore apart. And I was a boy, probably in love with a girl, and had her and I been together where the sky would still probably be grey. Massively concrete, the shade of unending persuasion, applied with purpose and care. I remember the day in a field near home, but my horse and car would play either off and off and on the grass and gravel. As far as I could see, nowhere was there to go. I didn't want to leave, I didn't need to, that I could sing and do. A trick of fate, I didn't think it could happen to me. Well, life stopped and memories began to bleed.
Living in Dafter when I was around 4 or 5. How many years ago was it? That's not. Okay. The next song, this one. Which one is it? Oh, I remember. This one's called New Marie, and because I can't think of a better name for it right now. But it's something I wrote about Sainte River. So, yeah.
Rising water below river steel, light from the keyhole walks away. Spirit sweet and catfish sing, many lovers have been made. Welcome to a spring. Dancing water She died an evening walk. Old friend down the way walks away. Asking folks up beside baby the boat. White meadows, I've got to stay. I've got to stay. Sweet and sweet and catfish sing. Many lovers have been named. Welcome to the spring.
So, this next one. Oh. Okay. So, this next song is one I wrote for. No! Okay, this next song is one that I wrote when I took a trip to go see a friend of mine down in Detroit, and then rode back, and I had a bad car because it overheated, and so it was supposed to be like a 5 or 6 hour trip. Took me like 11 hours, I guess, just as an added time. I mean, but it would, you know, it's fine, but the problem was is that the extra 5 hours was spent with me with a cassette recorder in my car as I'm sitting there waiting for it to cool down, and it was fun, but then afterwards I looked back at it and thought, what was I doing? I was just going crazy on the side of the road in parking lots, and yeah. But the way back was the same model, so I did that a lot again. Except I stopped at a Subway in a town, I can't remember what it was called. And then I decided to write this after my experience while I was waiting for my car to cool down again. So this one's called Young Street, which is another location. Yep.
I blow a thieving moon out here, misery himself, giving out his tasteless wine. Empty hanging bottles directed to your symphony below, sweet arms of pine. Dancers drowning hearts being pulled by a river, cold and hard and blind. Fast is his suffering, the speak of wheels that die. Black eyed misery, I hear one more time. A voice of angels and chair-faced lies. Miss so much out of this sport. You can be happy too. La 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 la. You can be happy too. You can be happy
sitting in a parking lot with a recorder in my hand, screaming at it. So the last song I want to do, this one, just we had my family had a cat, and it was an awesome cat, and its name was Dove, and it was, I'm not ashamed to say, but it was probably the best cat. So it was very sad when we had her put down because she was very sickly. But I decided to write this song for my cat. This one's called Morning Dove, after the bird. So. Coming, and thanks again for having me and yeah, everybody. So.
So we'll take a short break, maybe 10 minutes. We have 5 participants for the open mic, so we hope you stay around. Okay. Thanks for coming. Enjoy the Brand?
How you doing?
I don't like Welcome back. I guess we'll start the open mic now. So we'll start with Frank Listen.
I'm glad to see so many people could show up. Matthew, you're still here. Actually, this next poem, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and I had an incident, a memory that's been lodged in my brain for several years. And I've been wanting to do something with it. This was a good excuse, so if you don't mind. I know I have a poem here somewhere, but I think I lost it. Today they're clearing snow from the city streets. Graders scraping ice to the center lane for big grinders to throw into dump trucks. Sheer ice sheets ground, torn, turned back to snow and dumped across town, out of sight till spring, when it disappears altogether. It disappears as snow, that is, but does flow into the swamp behind the street department barn, then to Mission Creek. Reaching the big river, it disperses, some bits delving deep into still ponds, waiting for future winters, when a big freighter prop might strain against ice and stir through the depths, mixing up towards the surface, where a nor'wester can carry it up and over, falling on some or other hunting camp, with coffee steam rising from a thermos tipping back, and quiet falling for a half mile in every direction. Or snow falling across the deck of a 1,000-foot freighter anchored below the Barbeau rock cut and waiting for an icebreaker downbound from the Sioux. Or falling on pavement, ground down to an icy white, ground down to an icy white while finding a memory. Know this, Matthew, you may lose a poem, but the poem will never lose you. This next one, I got stuck in Rudyard mud a number of years ago. Got way too far down the road I shouldn't have got down. And that indirectly led me to looking up a little bit about Rudyard, and I found a book about their history. And this is the story of the school in Rudyard. In 1890, Rudyard's families, the Dawsons, the Gardners, and the Glendenians, asked for a school for their 6 children. 2 problems presented themselves: too few free men to make a school board, and no schoolhouse. After discussion and cajoling, the depot provided an upper room for the school, and Mr. Huntley agreed to round out the board. Mr. Matthews, being an amputee and unfit to continue his job as camp cook at Raddy's, where his arm had become chilled and poisoned while emptying a barrel of salt pork, became the first teacher. He taught for a year and a half, the families taking turns providing a week of salary plus board, which he supplemented selling patent medicine. Then Mrs. Cross, being a widow, was teacher for a year, and the school was moved to Davidson's camp. In 1894, Bill McGinnis, being an amputee and unfit to continue his job as a lumberman, where he lost his leg in an accident, became headmaster of the first schoolhouse. Bill took great joy in teaching, loving only hunting more than his pupils. This despite never having shot a deer. Sympathetic to his plight, John Gibbs and John Cottle rushed to the school one day with news of a big buck in the brush. Grabbing his gun, which was always at the ready under his desk, the 3 ran to the thicket. 2 antlers were seen above the brush, and Bill emptied his gun. The deer fell, but was found to be filled with straw. A 2-room school was built on Main Street in 1902, and all was peace and progress till one May morning the children were out when they ought to be in, dancing and shrieking with childish glee around some distraction in the middle of the road. They cavorted for some time till the citizens decided to intervene and found amidst the excited knot 2 lady teachers locked in combat. The motive for the gripping of hair and the deep red scratches scarring their face was never revealed, but the passion rolling down their cheeks won't soon be forgot. The only other excitement in those early days was the teachers' strike, pacified by a sumptuous turkey supper. Things were a bit different back then. And you said there's only 3 of us, so I've got a few more minutes then, or?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I know we're in the middle of January, but we can dream, so. First will be a quick poem about snow, and then a poem about not snow. And then I'll be done. The night stars still stand high, with winter dawn to come, the moonshine falling low over footprints tramping to the barn. But the snow is soon forgot, as steaming hulks of Holstein bump the gates and stanchions and bear their heavy loads to him. They wait and grunt for calloused hands to take the yellowed pressure and leave behind last fall's last grass grown dusty through the winter, and fall's last cobwebs gossamer in the window gather up the bits of breath the bull snorts through his corral, and he too is fed when all is done. Then the door is opened once again, releasing dust and bits of breath to the coming morning sun. The footprints leading to the barn, now drifted o'er with snow, will be tramped over on the way back. But snow is soon forgot. And one more by me. If any of you have ever wondered why they call them mayflies when they fly in August, I've got the answer here. This August morn, well before dawn, 1 million came of age among the muddy reeds along the big river and along the streams too, behind backyards cloaked in St. Mary's fog. And the front yards with cat-tracked dewy grass haloed with sodium yellow street lamplight become curb, then pavement, above which the row of trees catch imagios by the hundreds. Before fog lifts, they will be spent, then brushed aside by morning breeze, and gathered together in piles beside the lamp poles. Their spawn will hatch this summer, mostly, and some will survive through fall and winter and possibly spring. Then, next summer, a scant million may fly.
Next, we have Renee Dreiling.
Hi, Renee.
Matt, I just want to say you have more than angst. You have a hell of a lot of talent.
Thank you. It's got a ukulele now.
I want to start with a quote, because I collect quote like some people collect baseball cards. This is from Galway Cannell. There's not a specific something that I'm aiming for, but there's something that's almost unspeakable, and poems are efforts to speak it bit by bit. And I have a couple of poems about poems. We just seem to do that, I don't know why. This is called Poetry Belching. I met a man who could belch out poems in one breath, but they smelled kind of funny and were a little offensive. But I looked into his eyes and could see his inner beauty. It was only his delivery that stank. Pointless poems follow themselves around and around like Pooh and Piglet following their own footprints, leaving the listener desperately waiting for Christopher Robin to tell them how silly they are. This one's a recent one. Doesn't have a title yet. Some poems write their egos onto the page to make you see how smart they are. They dare you to understand, and if you think you do, they pull the rug from under you and prove you wrong. They're like emperors parading their finery, expecting exclamations, adulations, admiration, and applause. No one is to say otherwise. I want them to come to me wearing jeans and flannel and offer me a mug of hot tea, inviting me to make myself at home. This one is also recent and untitled. I meant to remain mysterious, hiding coquettish behind a ladylike fan, wooing you, drawling innuendos, playing hide-and-seek with your devotion among the wisteria and the live oaks. But who am I kidding? I'm a no-nonsense northern girl, obvious as winter, torrid as summer, intermingling moderate moments between the storms. What you see, straight as an unadorned spruce tree yearning for sun, is, simple as nature itself, what any good boy deserves, and if lucky, you get.
And finally, Carl Meyer.
Okay, straighten up, fly right. Okay. First, I'll just say, simply singing, swinging, sings. We sing about the singing swings that we sat on that were small. I felt very tall sitting by those large swings. So there is a swinging song that could be set to music. Set in the moment when he said, "Oh, I'm going to write a song about swinging," or whatever it was. So be careful what you set out to do, because you might encourage someone to sing a swinging song. Bob Heacock, from October 2010 Poetry. And so, feeling daft. We were young, and it was an accomplishment to have a body. No one said this. No one said much beyond, "Throw me the sky," or "Can the lake sleep over?" The lake cannot. The lake was sent home, and I ate too many beets. Went around with beet blood tongue, worrying about my draft card, burning brother going to war. Other brothers became holes at first base at war. Then a few holes herring back from war in their always, it seemed, green jackets with pockets galore and flaps for, I wondered, bullets. I wondered how to worship these giants. None of them wanted to talk to me or anyone, it seemed, but the river or certain unhelmeted curves at high speed. I had my body and flung it over the branches and fences towards my coming sullenness as the gravity of girls' hips began, and my brother marched off to, against the war. I watched different masses of bodies on TV, people saying no to the jungle with grenades, and people saying no to the grenades with signs, and my father saying no to all of them with the grinding of his teeth he spoke with. I'd pedal after the notes, the ups and downs a hill, like it was somehow a rosary, somehow my body was a prayer I could chant by letting it loose, with others like me milling around the everything below 5 feet tall. That was ours. The everything below the adult line of sight, that was ours. To hold as long as we could. Maybe a year, a summer, until the quarterback came back. Without, when the next Adidas comes back in style. Or maybe a bomb comes back.